Yumme Mommy, and welcome. And for those of you who have been subscribed to me and watching all along, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a lot of fun because we're in my kitchen where I love to be as often as I love this time of the year because I'm putting something different and new on the table just about every single day, right up to the day that we thank God for the wonderful life that oftentimes so many of us enjoy. So, if you're interested in maybe finding some recipes that you might be interested in serving your family or just a little entertainment while you watch me prepare what I'm preparing for mine, then stay tuned. Stay with me. Okay, our first recipe that we're going to do today, we're going to prepare today. And you can notice it might be in the order of a meal like this, how you might want to begin. We're going to do something I'm calling Hallelujah Cornbread. Okay, in the bowl, I've got a cup of flour, 1 cup cornmeal. I've got 2 tablespoons of sugar, 4 teaspoons baking soda, 1 baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 4 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk I'm about to put in. But before I put the buttermilk in, we're going to put in 4 eggs and 1/4 cup of oil. So I've already had this sifted out, and we're going to put our eggs in. I've got the oil and the eggs whipped together. You can see that. We're going to put that in, okay? Put that to the side. We're going to beat that in a little bit there. Then, I hope I told you I put 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I don't like to make my cornbread sweet. I'm not a sweet cornbread girl. But if you want to add more than what I mentioned, go right ahead. This is 2 cups of buttermilk. Okay? And you put that in a little bit of a time because, your different altitudes where you may live may affect how much liquid you need. So, I'm going to show you. Now, you can see it foaming up. It's because I've got that cream of tartar in there. Now, cream of tartar is what they put with baking soda to make baking powder. They have to put an acid with the baking soda, and then that creates baking powder. Now, since I'm using buttermilk, I want this cornbread to be pretty light. So, I added an additional teaspoon of cream of tartar so that we can get the lift that we're looking for. Over here, you see, another ingredient that we have in it is going to be cold corn. Now, I'm going to add these things, you see, before I see if I need to add some more buttermilk, you see. Because depending on the day, depending on how it's been sitting out there, you never know. So, this is a little chopper, and this is whole corn, okay? And I don't want to put it in so people can bite. That's going to make it a little toothy. So, what I do is I use it to chop it up a bit. Chop it up a little bit. And then, take the blade out, of course. We're going to use a little bit. I'll put that in. Okay. And then we might switch to this spoon because sometimes when you're using a whisk, I hope you can hear me. Whisk gets stuff stuck in. Okay, I got the corn. Okay, we're gonna put in a little onion. Okay, now I usually in a lot of my videos about cooking, you won't see me doing a whole lot of cutting because you can go anywhere and learn how to cut, and you already have your own techniques about what you do. But if you're a younger person, or even if you're a person that's more mature, and you're just venturing out because maybe you had a big career and there was no time for cooking, I'm going to show you about cutting this particular onion the way I need to cut it for this particular dish. Now, I just cut off the root part of it, okay? And as you can see on the onion, it has what we call onion skin. People use this for dyeing clothes and other things in the industry to give color. It'll give you things a yellow tint. So if your onion is really good condition, you don't have to go too deeply. You see how deep I went? Now, where I'm from, we call this Vidalia onions, and because they're sweet. Some of these onions are so sweet, people bite them and eat them like a eat them like an apple. An onion really adds a wonderful flavor to your dish. You can get them in red, you can get them in this yellow Vidalia, you can get them in white. Of course, you can get them in what we call green. Then down south, sometimes they call this green onion the scallion. You can also get them in French onions that they also call scallions. So there's a whole different lot of onions that you can get that will make your life easier. Now, I don't want to chop this onion, okay? I rarely, when I'm cooking greens or cooking different things, I don't really like to chop my onion. What I do is basically just come down like this. I like this to do that. If you can see how I'm making little half rings. But the reason why I often show people that's what I do, because if you don't want to put this on it, I like onion, and I can eat it just like this, right inside or whatever. But if you don't like onion, right in you see these little rings. I hope I'm getting that. You'll see these little rings, the separations. Just lay that little onion down right like this, and it'll make a nice little chop for you. And isn't that easy? Now, I want to show you some of my disability adjustments. See that little onion? Came right apart. You can put 2 or 3 of them together. Isn't that a perfect chop? That's a little disability shortcut, you know, so that you don't have to be trying to scuffle and shuffle and shuffle. See what I'm doing here? I'm sliding that back forward, moving the onion, sliding it back forward. There we go. Back, then forward, back, then forward. That's how you use this little miniature chef. But I'm a little short woman, so I use this one because it fits me. I can handle it better. So you use what's good for you. Now, that's a little shortcut way I wanted to show you of how to cut onion any way you want to eat it. And so that you can get really pretty onion. Now, here's one more thing I want to tell you. If this is not small enough for you, just take it, go back and forth, and you can mince it just like that. See how we going back and forth like that? And don't scrape your blade. Okay? Don't, just go back and forth, and sooner or later you'll get a finer onion. You can also grate the onion. You can also put it in your food processor and just negate the whole process. Don't have to go through all this. But you see how I'm going back and forth like that? And that is creating a smaller bite, if that's what you want. If that's what you want to have, then you get it down to the little bitty. If you don't think it's little enough, then go again. So, that's onion. Hope that helped. We're going to put in 1 whole chopped jalapeno pepper. In your cornbread, you just made a basic cornbread, okay? So you can just stop here and pour this into a pan and eat it. But I'm putting in 1 jalapeno pepper, okay? Put in the rest of this egg. I don't know what's up there. Okay, and we're gonna put in tablespoon, because we want to make it colorful and pretty. We're going to make it pretty and colorful. We're going to put in something called diced pimentos. Now, you Southern girls like me, born and raised in Louisiana, know that we put this in our potato salad too. It is a pimento or a pepper, and it is not hot at all, but it's quite colorful and it's tasty. So we add that one to our, if you like making potato salad, you know you add this to the potato salad. I'm gonna put a couple of teaspoons of it in because I want it for the color as well as the taste. Okay? So that when you slice down into this cornbread, you are going to get something quite beautiful. So, right now, I've used about, I want to add a little more, about a cup of cornmeal. Buttermilk. So, we're going to leave it that way because you see how runny it is? That's runny. One of the first things my mother taught me, she said, a lot of people don't do cornbread right, but you got to create enough liquid in a cornbread to allow the cornmeal, the grains to pop. And that makes a good bread. Okay. So, we use 1 1/4 of buttermilk. We use a cup of cornmeal, a cup of flour. Then I told you all the other ingredients. We put in jalapeno peppers. We put in 1 cup of corn, and we mince that with our little handy dandy small food chopper. And now we're ready to pour it into the pan and get it into the oven. We preheated the oven at 400 degrees. We're going to cook it about 25 to 35 minutes. Watch it. Make sure, because I don't know how your oven cooks. You might have to cook it a little longer. You may have to cook it a little less. So now we're going to stop for a minute and make our way over to the oven and get this inside of the oven. Okay, we've made it over to the stove, and we're going to get ready to pour the batter into a cast iron skillet in which I have 3 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of oil. And I've heated it up and made it hot because I want to make a really crispy bottom crust. So I'm going to pour that in right now, and then we'll get it into the oven. Now, it's going to make a little bit of a little slight sizzle, usually. Didn't quite do it. Maybe I didn't get it hot enough. But you will see it coming up. Now, this little cutesy thing is my batter bowl. And you might want to get you one of these because it makes things a lot easier. It's got the little spout and the little handle, especially for people that have having a little situation and trying to find things that they need to cook with. This, of course, is a spatula, and it helps you get every bit of everything, leaving nothing behind and wasting nothing into that thing. Making a little bit of a mess, but hey, that's okay. So, what you can do with this is what I've often done when you come a little more experienced at cooking. Leave it right on top of this eye on the fire, and you'll see it already start pre-raising. You see? You see that? But now, we're going to get it into the oven. We have it on 400 degrees. We put the rack in the middle of the oven, which is usually what we do for baking. If you prefer it to be lower, whatever you like, make a recipe your own. Okay. We're going to put the timer on 30 minutes, and we'll check it. Then I'm putting it on 35 just for, and I'll still check it at 30. Make sure you pay attention enough to what you're doing. Try not to walk away too far when you're cooking, especially when you got a pretty high temperature and a fast cooking bread. Cornbread is called a quick cooking bread. So be mindful once you put it in the oven to see exactly what's going on with it. So that's how we do cornbread. We'll be back to take it out of the oven to let you see how it looked at the end. Okay, we're back at the oven with about 8 minutes to go. And now we're going to check our cornbread. Remember, we put it in the center of the oven at 400 degrees, 25 to 35 minutes. And let's take a look at how it's going so far. Okay, that's the bread there. You can even see the little jalapeños in the top of it. And right in the center, I think this bread is really ready. So I'm going to take it out so you can see it. And that, my dear babies, is my hallelujah, because when you bite into those peppers, you might shout that. My hallelujah cornbread, which is like one whole meal in a pan, because it has corn in it, it has peppers in it, it has onions in it. You can even put a little cheese in it if you think about it. If you like to add that. But I think it turned out beautiful. And you can tell that it's ready because it's not, I could probably put my hand down in there and it won't be wet in the center. It's hard. You don't want to get it too because you can dry it. Okay, and the other thing that I want to tell you is my buttermilk wasn't as thick as it should have been. It was a little watery. And so I'm going to keep in my recipe book that already has 2 cups of buttermilk. So you just use it until you see it get kind of runny like that. And then you use enough. But normally, if the buttermilk is pretty fresh, it'll take about 2 thick cups of buttermilk to make it have the type of consistency that makes it rise like that. You see that? How that rolls all around and got crispies all on the side? You can get started on this and add it to something you like. Remember, I see you. I see you. Bye-bye.